All right, so is anybody from St. Louis? Anybody? Okay, all right, good, good. Anybody familiar with University City? Little town? Okay. So you know where Olive and 82nd Street is? Used to be a little 7-Eleven right there. Well, my first house was right in that little neighborhood on a street called Fullerton. And it was really the first place that we left. As a matter of fact, it was heart-wrenching because just about 2 blocks away from our house was the house store. It was Miss Johnson's candy store. And Miss Johnson, she let me work for her and sell Chico sticks and those little non-laters. And she actually paid me with Chico sticks and non-laters. But we left that wonderful neighborhood, and then we found ourselves in, anybody know about East St. Louis? Oh, good, good. And they said that positively. Great. Know where State Street and 26th Street is? Yeah, so there's a really cool, candy store, right there. It's called Moto's. It's the best ever. They sell great, pickles and stuff like that. And we lived on 26th Street, and it was wonderful because we only had to walk a block or two to get to the candy store. But then we moved again over to 43rd and Buncombe. And we had to take a 2 or 3 block walk to get to this candy store. And then we were on 51st and Forest in East St. Louis. And then Pennsylvania Avenue, right there down the street from Catherine Dunham. Well, right next to Catherine Dunham's place is a candy house. It was really nice. It was just a couple of houses down. But what really was great was when we moved back across the river, right, to a little spot that's not too far from here. Antique Road, you guys familiar with that area? Cherokee, right? Cherokee in Illinois. It's a beautiful place. It's a 2-family house, all brick. For the first time, we had a basement with washing machines and a backyard. And something about moving, we moved about 10 times before I graduated from high school, but this was the one. When you move that much, you sort of don't totally unpack. Right? You always got things in boxes, and you're always ready for the next move, so you never totally unpack. And then you never really hang stuff on the walls because that's a hassle when you're trying to move the next time to take all this stuff. Now you got to do stuff to the walls. You won't get your deposit back. No. But this place, I was sure we were going to totally unpack and hang stuff on the walls because we were at Illinois and Cherokee. And if you know the area, you know that there was an ice cream shop right there on the corner. So this was our spot. So my brother and I, he's about 2 years older than me. We're going to 7th and 9th grade, and my mother's a bus driver. She drives for what I call the DSEG experience, or the DSEG experiment. And so she told us, she said, hey, listen, now that we live over on this side, you got your choice. You could go to the neighborhood school, which we were accustomed to going to neighborhood schools, or you could get into this thing called the DSEG program, the voluntary transfer program, where you get to choose one of these fabulous white schools in St. Louis County, where they've got all this stuff, right? And you get to ride a bus to school. I was like, bet. You don't have to walk to school, get on a bus. But it brought up this concept that we didn't know much about, like integration and segregation. They use all these words, and we didn't know because in East St. Louis, there was no integration. It was just black kids and one white kid. There's one his name was Benjamin, Benjamin the white kid. So we were like, cool. So we signed up. We were going to the school, and we were starting school on Monday. But on Saturday, it was time to kind of find our way around the neighborhood. My brother and I, we got bicycles. When you're 12, 11 years old, that's your freedom. That's how you found people. You got on your bike and you rode. And so we were like, okay, mission today, find kids. So we jumped on our bikes and we're riding around the south side, right? And we're looking for kids. We're riding, and there weren't any kids around. So it was like we were riding for a half an hour, and then the kid turns out 2 weeks. And we finally come up on this porch. We see these kids over here, and they're on this porch. There's about 15 of them. That was great. That's it. That's what we're looking for, right? And so we turn and we're riding our bikes on the street and we slow down a little bit because you don't just ride up to somebody's house. You got to wait to be invited, right? And so we look at them and they look at us and we're waiting for our invitation, waiting on them to say, hey, come on over. And they didn't say that. One of them yelled out, go home, niggas. And I started thinking to myself, did they know we just moved over here from East St. Louis? And what was home? I was like, was it the place over in U City with the Olive? And was it East St. Louis? What was it? What was home? And while I'm thinking through all of this stuff and thinking about how crazy is that comment now, it seemed a little dated. While I'm in my mind thinking about this stuff, cruising along, my brother yells out, look, y'all honkies. And I was like, dude, why did you say that? That ain't right. And then at that very moment, one of the racial myths that I had was totally dispelled. White people actually can run. 15 white kids rush off at his porch and they're chasing us down the street towards Arsenal. And we're on our bikes and we're riding. I'm like, wow, these dudes are fast. And we're moving fast. One of the guys caught me and grabbed me by my shirt, pulled me off my bike right at Arsenal and Jefferson. And so my brother and I, we jump off our bike and we're fighting with these kids in the middle of Arsenal and Jefferson. About 15 kids. Now we grew up in East St. Louis, so we're tough, so we're fighting and swinging, and people are saying all this stuff. But in the moment, it's sort of like slowed down, and I'm realizing all this stuff is happening, and we're in the middle of a major intersection. Surely, somebody is going to break this up. So the cars would pull up, slow down, and then go right around us and keep going. I was like, that's jacked up. So we're fighting, and it seems like it's going on forever, and then the second wave of kids start coming. And we were like, okay, so we can handle about 12 or 15, but we can't handle about 20, right? And so my brother and I, we jumped on our bikes, we grabbed our bikes, and we were riding off, and then they started throwing bricks and rocks and sticks. And that's when we really got hurt. I got hit by a bottle, my brother got hit by a brick. But it wasn't bad enough to tell our mom. So we went home, we hid, scars or whatever, and we didn't say anything. And there were two thoughts that I remember very clearly. It's Saturday, and we start school on Monday with white kids who want us to go home. And the second thought was, we ain't hanging no damn pictures. So we go to school on Monday, and I'm ready to fight. Whole bus ride. We're up at 5:30 in the morning on the bus going out to school. And when we get there, I'm totally surprised. All the kids and all the teachers, just like the kids, friends, and teachers in East St. Louis and University City that we know. Teachers love us. They're the same. Teachers are the same wherever you go. They just want you to learn and produce. They want to inspire you. And kids are just friends who was curious, right? But there is something very different about this school. They do all these leadership programs. Like, white folks are really into leadership in the 90s. And so they pulled me into all of these leadership programs, and I'm doing these stuff where they're riding bikes down the Katy Trail for 2 days. I'm like, who's got a bike trail for 2 days long? And we're canoeing down to Merrimack. I was like, this is crazy. I remember that all the white kids were putting on suntan lotion. I'm black. I don't need no suntan lotions. 2 days later, my skin is, I'm like, give me that suntan lotion. And so we're doing all these leadership programs. We're hiking and doing chess and doing all this stuff. And I remember one night, it was a dark night. We were hiking through the woods, and we're sitting around and having this conversation. And we're talking about the places where we live. And one of my friends, Eric, he said, a white kid from out in the county, he said, tell me where you live. I said, well, do you know University City, where Olive and 82nd Street, right there by the candy place? Oh, do you know about, okay, so I grew up in East St. Louis over at 26th Street, right down the street from Moto's, where they sell the pickles and stuff. And I stayed over here on the south side, and then I stayed over here. And he said, Harlan, stop. dude, why do you keep saying stay? Like you live in a hotel or something. I said, well, actually, you know where Grand and Marcus is? I say in the hotel right there. But what it really did was it made me reflect upon this concept of staying. I was like, why do I say that? I stayed all over this region, right? And it struck with me. I said, you know what? That's not the language that I want to use. And so fast forward 20-something years, my wife and I live in Pasadena Hills in the Normandy School District now. And I actually take kids out in the middle of the woods, drop them there, and make them hike for 22 days. And I play chess like Miss Felice Sky said, and I teach kids chess. And I live in a neighborhood where my son gets to walk 2 blocks to the candy store. It's really cool. And so I've come to the conclusion that this is my city. All this different stuff that we do, all the places we go, all the places that we live, this is where we live, and this is my home. I'm at home. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to stay here. Thanks, guys.